And we're live. I'm sorry I didn't stream yesterday, but I was so tired.
This bozo's like, I'm so weepy. And I'm like,
And I went to bed probably around 12.
this is bozo, all he does is scroll.
Just doom scroll on Twitter and get very angry. And then I spend an hour trying to find a YouTube video to fall asleep to. It needs to be a kind of video where I don't need to look at the screen. Because like if it has to be mostly audio based. Because if it relies on the video screen, like I feel like I'm missing out.
It's like when you're like listening to a video essay on the topic you've never heard before, or like a game you've never heard before, and it's like the visuals in this game are so beautiful, and you were like so curious. You take a peek, and it's like the most like PS1 looking like visual ever. I'm like, oh yeah, this is great for the PS1.
So I was playing Little Busters earlier, and they said the word Umi. And I was like, that's Umineko.
That's just the sea.
I know, because we were at the ocean.
They were like, oh my god, Beatrice.
Beatrice. But there are Uminekos in that route of Little Busters, because it's very heavily ocean-based. Yeah, they're seagulls. So last time, people died, and then we're starting to be suspicious of the servants. I don't really want to repeat what we talked about, because we're just continue with the story, but we have our doubts on if people are alive and who really did it.
I just doubt everyone.
Something had... I skipped my own line. Something had gone insane since yesterday. There was that letter from the witch Beatrice that Maria had read out aloud at last night's dinner. That's right. Ever since that point, it's felt like like this whole mansion has been... Bless you. This whole mansion and this whole island has been getting more and more firmly locked inside some kind of bizarre world. That's right. When I think back on it, that letter was an invitation from the witch. The ruler of the nighttime island had invited us inhabitants of the day into another world. The phone and the radio had been interrupted and the island was cut off by the typhoon, so you really could call this place another world cut off from the real one by now. Yeah, as this island is now, it's perfectly normal for a witch to send us letters and for human sacrifices to be offered up for the sake of magic circles. So, what will happen next? Will some weird people wearing goat masks start doing the Bond festival dance or something?
Is that a reference to something?
I thought it was more like a Satanist thing because of the goats, but it might be a niche reference to something. It's hopeless. It's hopeless. I don't get it. The inside of my head's all screwed up and I don't even know what to think. Anger, sadness, the opposing emotions all swirled up together and they started to suck me in.
It
started to suck me dry. I'm able to resist. I could do nothing but cover my eyes with my hands and trust in my mind and body as I started getting sucked in. No, my music.
Let's do some magic stuff.
As I started losing heart, I began to recall a memory from when I was small. It was from when I was very young. I had unfortunately seen a cult movie on TV, and for a while I hadn't even been able to go to the bathroom by myself. That old bastard gave me an exaggerated laugh and said this.
Hey, Battler!
He's back, so you can voice him.
Immediately I start coughing. Why do you think they go all why do you think they go to all the trouble to make movies like this about demons and occult and such?
I feel like the word occult is like... It's such a anime thing.
I know, right? It's
like nobody in the West says occult. They say like horror or I don't know, bullshit.
When you think of like ritualistic movies where like It's all about like summoning something and like worship and like
I feel like
what do
they
you
just
call
don't
it?
say the word occult though.
I don't think you see like
The
the
only
word
time I hear
occult.
occult is in an anime.
Like I think I get like what was that called? Uh, frick. How am I like forgetting words?
Stranger Things.
It's like cults. Yeah, you get cults, not a
Yeah,
cult, but just cults.
yeah.
Not the
ねえか
occult,
らだ
but
よ
just cults in general.
そんな滑稽なもんは
Sometimes
地球
cults
の
can
ど
be
こにもねえの
satanic,
さ
but like, it's because they don't exist.
ねえからわざわざ見たくて
Something
作
that
るんだよ
ridiculous can't be found anywhere on the
だ
planet.
から俺はオカルト映画なんてちゃんちゃらおかしくて
People
笑っ
want
ち
to
まうってん
see
だ
them go. People want to see them and go to a lot of fucking bitch. People want to see them and go to a lot of effort at making them. I think it's just like I think it's just like the curiosity of like people subjecting themselves to like some like delusion or like the ideas of the demons
Hmm.
even existing or such of that. It's just a really interesting concept for most people, even if it's not like even if it's not real.
Yeah.
Sometimes the delusion of it is very interesting to me. 'Cause,
That's why
like,
those occult movies just make me laugh.
俺に言わせりゃ悪魔やら妖怪やらより
if I was
今年
forced
度
to
の収
choose,
支報
I'd
告
say
や
rather
機
than
嫌を悪
demons
くし
and
た女房の
monsters.
方が1
This
億倍
year's
も
earnings
怖え
column
ってもんだ
angry
ぜ
wives are 100 million times scarier.
さらに言うぜ
I'll go
俺に
further,
怖
okay?
がるってのは
From my point of
心と
view,
生活にゆとりのある連中の娯楽的感
Wait,
情
what?
なのさ
This is his line? Why does...
what happened to the
Yeah, what? Okay, I guess this is his line.
getting scared is a recreational motion, something for people who've got room to relax, both in their hearts and their
暇
lifestyles.
で暇でしょうがないか
I
ら
don't think that's true.
連中は変わった感情で
I'm scared
心
for the
を遊ばせ
future
たくて
because I don't have
悪魔
time
だ
to
の
relax.
オカルトだのって文化を作り出したんだよ
They've had so much free time, they don't know what to do with it. So, in order to enter their mind with unusual emotions,
I guess in a way, but there's no way you could possibly be so busy that you don't have a moment to think.
this guy is like the only reason why he's not scared of the fucking occult is because he's a bitch.
You know,
I'm not
as
scared of
CEO, I'm just so busy. I don't have time to be scared.
I'm not scared of the occult, but I do feel scared. It doesn't have to be like terror from like watching horror movies or whatever, or like reading scary stories, because I genuinely do not really believe in that stuff or really am scared of that stuff. Because like I don't really get scared easily, but I have this primal fear of existentialness and what I'm gonna do with my future and if I can do anything with it. But this guy's rich, so he doesn't have time to be scared. You know, he's not scared about anything because like he's rich and he feels secure with his life. Does he not? Is he feels worried? Is there no sense of fear when it comes to like being scared of what's to come in the future if you don't get the money? Because remember, that means he needs the money now.
I was gonna say, shouldn't when you're that rich, you also have a lot more to lose. But you still
Yeah,
should be scared.
because like if you make all these businesses, because like the
You can
thing
be
is
like Cross and you fuck up and you waste everything.
to be rich, you probably have to make a lot of like risky business decisions in order to like
luckily for them, they're born with more money to start with.
yeah, and like low key like when you're living paycheck to paycheck or worried about like not really like having enough money to pay your next rent, you don't have the luxury of going out and finding out like being
Yeah.
an entrepreneur. So this guy's a little bitch.
Should have invested in Bitcoin as our one risk.
He should have started cryptocurrency.
Go over. Nothing like that will ever exist again.
So in order to entertain their minds on unusual, people started making demons occult and stuff. How sophisticated is that line? the occult and demons and stuff.
Seriously, why have I been acting so damn thick-headed? I was totally taken in. Don't try and mess with me. Like, what was that noise? That is the human world. I don't give a damn about witches, demons, magical circles, and sacrifices. The human who killed my dad and everyone else is still on this island. That's all there is to it, right? The next person who started speaking into my heart was... We're just hearing everybody then. Kairi-san.
It was like the anime moment where it's
Yeah.
all the voices are coming.
What the fuck is this song? I gotta put my earbud in so I can hear it. You see, in both chess and shogi, when you reach the very, very last stage of the game and get closer and closer to cornering your opponent, the number of optimal moves you could possibly make gets smaller and smaller. Therefore, she wanted the money right
She
now.
wanted them right now.
If you're backing someone against the wall, or if someone's doing something to you, both player moves become infinitely easier to read. In other words, when you're completely cornered and you think you have no moves left, this is the moment when it's easiest to read your opponent. This is true. This is like in League of Legends, where you can tell somebody's about to flash because of the way they positioned.
Yeah.
True.
But if you're stupid like me, people never see it coming. Because, like, you know, like, when someone is just so bad at the game, or just, like, so, like, incompetent, or, like, unlogical with their thinking, if you don't think when you play, people get confused. Like, why did they do that? But it works. Like, for example, when you're always complaining in Marvel Rivals why everyone's jumping.
True.
And you're like,
People
"Why
just
are
jump
they
because that's all they can do.
And then, like, it actually does end up sometimes getting you killed or not getting the kill, and it's like, that's why an ignorant person's very dangerous, you know?
Sure, that's why I like to say, if somebody beats me, it's not because they're better than me, it's because they're playing dumber, and I expected better of them.
It's like giving a dumb person with a gun's not dangerous, is not as dangerous as a stupid person with a gun.
Very not woke of you to say.
No, well, a gun is not as dangerous as a stupid person with a gun.
Yep.
Well, there's many stupid people out there with guns.
Yeah, they all own.
Honestly, I don't see the point of like a regular civilian owning a gun, aside from like maybe if you like hunting.
The only reason I would have one is to protect myself from other stupid people who have one.
Yeah, but like I wouldn't, even if I had a gun, like, cause like my parents owned a gun for a bit, or my dad does actually own a gun for some reason. He like hides in the safe or something. It's for protection, right? But like at the same time, it's like, what in what case? Okay, because like in what case will we genuinely need,
Like
or
insurance.
we will, like actually go get like use that? Because like you can go in, like if you go into your safe and whatever, like that's gonna take way too much time for you to actually like.
I just picked the password like 111.
I don't know. I just feel like guns are just so unnecessary, man, and it's just so much
Yeah.
more dangerous with it being widely available.
This is a woke stream now.
But yeah, sorry. Unfortunately, we're woke.
I wonder if there's a woke tag. That'd be so funny.
We're the woke police.
Yeah.
Hand over your weapons.
In other words, when you're completely cornered, did I read this line? Yeah, I think I did. However, when a person is forced into a defensive position, they can't help but lose their ability to think clearly, and they aren't able to get their mind around their opponent's moves. That's when you spin the chessboard around. With all my strength, I slapped my face with both hands. Now my eyes were truly open. When you don't understand anything, and you're completely cornered just like I am now, isn't that the perfect time to spin the chessboard around? While on the defensive, we can't even guess at the culprit's scheme. If we spin it around and look at that way, just what might we see? First off, at the time of the culprit committed the murders, they knew the island was being cut off by the typhoon. Therefore, they should have understood that even if they carried out the murders, they wouldn't be able to get away early the next morning. In short, the culprit had begun without securing a way to escape. Furthermore, that bastard tossed the corpses into the storehouse, then went kind enough to say, "Here they are," with that weird bit of graffiti. In other words, since we'd probably found the corpses sooner or later, they wanted to show them to us. If we'd all been dim and hadn't noticed the storage shed, the culprit's goal would not have been achieved, would it? If you think about it this way, that bastard of a culprit, instead of mourning, they must have been watching out our every move, bated breath. After all, if we hadn't been so kind as to discover what was on the storehouse, all that hard work and preparation they did last night would have just gone poof. What did the culprit want to make us feel by showing us the corpses in the storehouse? All 6 of the bodies had their faces noticeably destroyed. Was it a grudge? A warning? The defacement of the bodies had occurred after death. So it hadn't been the means by which the culprit had killed. If it didn't mean anything to those who had been killed, it did have meaning to those who found the bodies. The culprit wanted to make it appear that they had been killed so brutally. After thinking about it this way, I really want to tell that bastard to stop taking me so lightly. We just dance to that tune. If you're told, "Please don't be scared," you can't just say, "Really? Sure thing." When someone tells the great Ushiromiya battler, "The entrance is right here," I'm the kind of guy who will start wanting to sneak in through the window. It's true, I do that when I play games. I take the second route. Yeah. I go the non-default way.
I always go the way that gets me the most content.
The next thing that had me concerned was the so-called magical circle on the shutter. As Maria, who had shown that her knowledge of the occult rivaled grandfathers, had recognized, the magical circle was genuine. They even had drawn that thing in the pitch black darkness, taking a lot of time and holding an umbrella in one hand. Isn't that amount of hard work and perfectionism impressive? What purpose would have made all of that effort? If we were looking for a fan of the occult in the mansion, most of us would naturally suspect grandfather. Did they want us to think grandfather was involved? If that's all they wanted, they could have just drawn any old scribble that looked like a magical circle. It wasn't like any of us amateurs would be able to tell the difference between a genuine and fake one. However, this magical circle was genuine, and furthermore, it had been written even in Hebrew. So this magical circle had a message that could only be understood by someone with knowledge of the occult. A message is a form of communication. By sending it, they were hoping for a reaction. A reaction? For some reason, we couldn't find grandfather now. I don't know how grandfather might have spotted the magic circle on the shutter, but he did choose to hide himself in did he choose to hide himself in reaction to that? No. Was it a trap to make us suspect that grandfather had participated? We could read it either way. Damn, that's annoying. What kind of reaction was the culprit hoping to get out of us by putting on this occult show? Somehow, it felt like the culprit's weak point. The letter from Beatrice that Maria had read aloud during last night's dinner sprang back into my mind. This was a freak who had asked us to enjoy a battle of wits. Isn't that interesting? This is a battle of wits between us and the witch. Will we be sucked up by her occult game first? Or will we pull off her fake skin first? It took a whole day until the typhoon passes. Why not enjoy ourselves? Finally noticed that the inside of the parlor had gone quiet again. Everyone had sunk into their favorite sofas, some deep in thought, some irritated and some acting depressed. Maria was once again enjoying the TV as if she had never left it. It looked like she found the commercials more fun than the boring program, and she happily yelled "ooh ooh" and giggled. I stared at each person's appearance in turn. If there wasn't a 19th person, the culprit must be in this room.
They're misleading us. The culprit can't be someone.
I like how Battler even looked at her, Maria. The kid did it. Oh, okay, the narrator showing himself too. Never mind.
I think Maria was involved.
Hey, why wasn't Genji here? Or Canon? Or Kumasawa.
Those are shirts, I guess.
Right now,
Well,
Aunt Natsu.
I think personally that it's not someone who committed the murders or who planned out the murders is not in the room. Someone who was in the room might have manipulated things or participated, but
Right now, Aunt Natsuhi's searching the mansion with the servants, right? Okay, he's clarifying. Then we shouldn't say this room. And this mansion is where the culprit has to be. After all, it is possible Aunt Natsuhi was behind this. She would never. And we still can't deny that one of the servants might be the killer. Anyone could be guilty. Still, Aunt Natsuhi and the rest sure are taking their time. Of course it's not a small mansion, but isn't it taking a little too long just to walk around and check the windows and doors? So I was thinking, Aunt Natsuhi and the rest returned. None of them was missing, but our relief was short-lived. Everyone looked at Aunt Natsuhi in shock. The talk I had with Aunt Ava started to creep back into my mind. The possibility that the culprits had enough in numbers and weapons to kill all of those 6 at once. Forgive me. Oh wait, that's you.
forgive me if I startled you.
I don't know if you see it.
Yeah, she has a fucking gun.
I don't remember the key. Oh, I remember now.
I brought this to be prepared for the worst.
Kind of small.
It's a gun.
After all, that thing in Aunt Natsuhi's hand was a rifle. At a glance, the silhouette looked a lot like a hunting gun. But it was unusually short and kind of looked like a kid-sized weapon. Yeah, it is kind of small. However, it had a weightiness that made it clear it was no kid's toy. That gun is Kenzo-san, isn't it?
Do you know about it? That's right. I remembered it was father's old collection and I managed to find it. Whoa! Natsui-san! Natsui-san! Is that thing real? Yeah, it's real. It can fire live ammunition. Father used it to scare away wild birds. That takes me back. I forgot what voice I was doing for all these people, but it's getting better because my nose is so fucking nasally. Where did you find that thing? This is not the voice I gave her, but it's okay. No matter how much I asked him to let me touch it, he never let me lay even one finger on it.
Oh? Grandfather had one of these? I didn't know that.
Long ago, grandfather was really addicted to cowboy films. That generation really liked this kind of rifle.
Dad, a Winchester. Now my Texas voice makes sense all of a sudden.
That Winchester, but I've never seen that one short before.
Ah, I remember. It's that gun. That's the one Steve McQueen fired off and Wanted Alive or Dead. That's definitely a reference, probably. It's Lightning McQueen. That must be it. Father sure has good taste. It is an item from that Master specifically ordered from America long ago. As you can see, it is a working gun, so please don't tell anyone about this. He was quite fond of it after he managed to acquire it. It seems the workings that ejected the cartridge was more interesting to him than shooting it, and he played around with it in the back forest all the time. Ho ho ho.
Still, it's rather disturbing. Are you sure you should be dragging this out? This is to prepare for the worst. There was probably more than one offender involved. Furthermore, those horrible people killed six of us, including my husband. I have a responsibility to protect everyone until tomorrow, in my husband's place.
As Natsuhi said this, she slumped down into one of the sofas and took a deep breath. She had been trying to find grandfather, as well as check the doors and windows. Since grandfather wasn't with her, she probably still didn't know where he was.
I carefully checked all the doors and the windows throughout the mansion. However, we must be prepared for anything. Everyone, I think it would be best if we all remained here. Oh, good point. If everyone is gathered here, we'd all feel more secure by keeping an eye on each other.
So, if you were here, would you think somebody snuck on the island, or do you think it would be one of the other people?
Realistically, I think it'd be one of the other people.
Yeah.
Or I'd start believing in the occult. I don't know.
You know, maybe the witch is real.
Low-key, I mean, like, if things get weird enough, maybe. But of course, my first thought's gonna be someone is using that as a cover, or maybe someone has like such bad like delusions that they do genuinely think it's real, or is justifying it because of that. But I would of course think it'd be other people. I don't think anyone could have just snuck on this island, or it's either that or someone was already on this island camping out way longer, because this island's big apparently. It's just like a portion of it's only inhabited, so like who's to say that someone isn't living on this aside from them? Plus, who wants to live on a fucking isolated island? Fucking rich people.
Yep.
What do you mean by that, Ava-san? Nothing really. I'm just agreeing with your opinion, aren't I?
There was a stormy atmosphere between the two of them. If you think about who was the most suspicious from the inheritance standpoint, Aunt Ava was the obvious answer. However, there was no proof that Aunt Natsuhi was innocent. Now, if you view Beatrice's letter as one of grandfather's complicated pranks and think of the crime as just an extension of that, there's more than enough reason to suspect even grandfather. Also, Aunt Natsuhi thought the criminal was on the outside, but Aunt Ava thought the criminal was on the inside. In short, it was a question of whether or not the 19th person exists. That same question has been repeated endlessly since last night's dinner, but the letter from the witch who called herself Beatrice so was the culprit among us? Or not? And did the witch Beatrice exist? Or not? True. Who's the traitor? You assume that something as stupid as a witch can't exist. You're basically saying that one of the relatives here who share a common bloodline is the culprit. Whoops. I just punched my mic. If that was too unpleasant, it'd be much more comfortable to simply accept the fairy tale-like character of the witch. A witch? A witch drawing a bizarre magic circle and offering human sacrifices? If I could accept that rubbish, I'd be able to trust all the people in the room. However, damn common sense got in the way. I kept repeating that witches don't exist. In that case, the culprit must be among us. In the middle of the seemingly endless rain, none of us could break the silence.
Okay, guys, who's sus? I'm low-key forgetting the Among Us turns. What do you call, like, the venter? What do you call
Imposter.
the imposter? Ah, low-key, like, it's been like 5 years, guys.
Has it really been that? I guess it has been. I was like pre-COVID.
It's like around 2020.
Lunch ended and the servants removed the tableware and went to the kitchen. Wind and rain neither weakened nor strengthened, and the island remained cut off from the outside world. At first, it seemed as though Natsuhi planned to stop anyone from taking a step outside the room. But when it came time to prepare lunch, she realized that would be impossible. However, in order to avoid— these people can't go without fucking lunch. However, in order to avoid having anyone alone in the kitchen, she told the 3 servants to go together. So that the servants were the first ones among the— given the right to leave the stuffy parlor, which had been packed with 11 people. Since breakfast had immediately followed that terrible incident, preventing us from enjoying much, everyone tore into their lunches in silence. We'll wash the dishes so the rest of you. So you can rest a while, Kaden-kun. Genji-san. Do you want something to drink? No, I don't need anything. Kaden?
I don't need anything either.
That canned tomatoes?
I want canned tomatoes.
No rich people have canned tomatoes.
Maybe like the servants do all of the...
They make the cans.
Actually, they can't have their food... Unless they have like a garden specifically for vegetables, none of their food comes fresh. Like none of their vegetables.
Well, they could take the boat.
No, but that's not gonna be fresh. It's gonna be like take a while, so it's not gonna be fresh.
You two must be so busy. It's so early in the morning. It's no wonder you've worn out. The only noise was that of Kumasawa washing the dishes, which resounded throughout the kitchen. Genji and Kanen sat in some of the chairs some distance away, their eyes lightly closed. Just as Kumasawa has said, those two had probably built up a great deal of fatigue, but that didn't mean they could let it show in front of the relatives. Avoiding that was one of their virtues. After the silence had continued for some time, Kanen opened his mouth and muttered,
Why did she have to die in such a horrible way?
Forget about the manner of her death. It was nothing more than bad luck.
You're right. I'm suspicious. It was nothing but bad luck.
They both fell silent once again. Kanen's expression was filled with grief. To think that Shannon-chan's actually dead. I still can't believe it. Poor thing. Not being able to see her again feels like a lie. I just want to see her smiling one more time. Kumasawa spoke with her back facing them. After all, she hadn't seen Shannon-chan's corpse, so she had no trouble mentioning Shannon's face. When Kanen heard those words, it reminded him again of how only half of Shannon's face had been left, and his grieving expression twisted even further.
Beatrice-sama do that to Shannon. If she wanted a sacrifice, there was plenty of others to choose from. Why?
It was nothing more than bad luck. If we were less lucky, you or I would have been lying out there instead of Shannon. Or it could have been someone else entirely. Everything is left to fate.
Genji-sama. He said the door to Madam's room was stained with traces of blood. The same substance was painted on the shutter.
Indeed. It was an unsettling mark. Almost as though someone with blood-stained fingers had been trying to pull on the doorknob. No, scratched through the door. That sort of unpleasant mark.
So, what does that mean? Beatrice-sama came to visit Madam's room. And tried to open the door. But couldn't? It was a charm. It was a scorpion charm.
Yeah. Genji thought back to the door they had seen with traces of blood on the... Genji thought back to the time he had seen those traces of blood on the door to Natsuhi's room, with the substance sticking to the door around the doorknob, and the mark of something scratching against the door. It had definitely appeared as though someone had tried to open the door but couldn't.
How did Madam avoid being chosen as sacrifice? Only she's been chosen.
Yo, step off.
Shannon wouldn't have died.
But what if instead of her, what if they'd saved Goda instead? That wouldn't have been worth it.
Just imagine.
Let's go to an alternate timeline where Shannon's still alive. Or sorry, alternate timeline where Natsuhi's dead, but fucking Goda's the one who Lives in
He's like,
exchange.
hey guys, do you want breakfast?
And it wakes up, he smells breakfast. No! No, Shannon's not here.
And the smell of roses.
Just then, a loud, sharp noise came in from the hall. Both of them turned around, surprised.
面白そうな話じゃねえか。
That's a pretty interesting chat you're having here.
Who let him leave the room?
Let me join in too.
Before any of the servants realized that Battler was standing in the doorway to the kitchen.
That was gold. How rude it was.
Genji-san and Kanen-kun stood up, surprised, and hastily bowed. But I didn't care about stuff like that. I was more concerned with hearing their discussion.
I told them I was going to the bathroom, so they let me go. I thought I'd suffocate if it was locked up in that room any longer. I was about to come and ask for you guys for water, but then overheard something interesting. You don't need to bow your heads or anything. Please, let me hear the rest. Just now, wasn't really... I've been listening to you for a while. Don't try to hide it now. So, I'll ask directly. Who is this Beatrice? She's supposed to be a witch from a kid's story, but it doesn't look that way now.
Kanen-kun averted his gaze. It was obvious that he didn't want to talk about this, which only made me want to ask even more. While making an effort to smile, I grabbed the collar of his shirt.
Last night, this would have been none of my business. But after this morning, everything's changed. Now that Dad and the rest have been killed, this is totally my business. I have the right to listen to the suspicious story, don't I?
Glared into Kanen's eyes as he continued to avert his gaze in apparent pain. There was a big difference in our heights. Kanen had to stand on his toes, and it looked like I hurt a bit. Battler's son, please let go of him. Kanen-kun isn't really trying to hide anything.
Then you won't have any problem talking about it, right? It's lonely being out of the loop, you know.
When I further twisted up his collar, Genji-san cut between us and spoke. In his expression were faint traces that he had made up his mind to do something. Apparently he had no intention of hiding it. I can tell you about it. Kanen only hesitated because you might have taken it badly, Battler-sama.
Hesitating, huh? Not very manly of you. Oh my god, I'm an asshole. Whatever it is you're talking about, it's even more unpleasant having it kept a secret. Tell me about it. It's not like we have anything better to do before morning tomorrow comes. A slightly spooky story might be the best way to avoid getting bored.
Genji-san and Kanen-kun looked at each other, then nodded as though they had decided to talk.
Understood. Please, ask us anything. We will talk. Right. Then I'll ask. Who in the world is this Beatrice? All I know is that she's a witch who lives in the forest of Rakanjima. I've heard. It's a story of grandmother or someone who invented it to keep people out of the dangerous forest. Is that wrong? No, it isn't wrong. It's as you say. Beatrice is a witch who dwells in the forest of Rakanjima.
Battler-sama, I don't expect you to believe this all of a sudden, but Beatrice-sama does exist. He is a real person, the one who gave the master a vast amount of gold and who worked by his side for many years.
Come on. Is grandfather paying you to repeat everything he says?
I laughed like it was a joke, but neither Genji-san nor Kennen-kun laughed. Not even Kumasawa Bachan, who was avoiding my eyes, flustered as she started washing the dishes. Unfortunately, I was the only one laughing. Painfully. Bitterly.
That's why Genji-san refused to mention it. If you really mean it, of course, I'd take it badly. So you're saying that a person named Beatrice actually exists?
Yes. She has been working for Master since before the mansion was built on this island. She has most likely been working for him even longer than I have.
What do you know? Kairi-san's theory was off. Grandfather really did have a confidant called Beatrice. Is that pirate person on the island right now? Yes. I believe that she is here. That's a vague way to say it. I guess that means you haven't seen her face today or yesterday. That is correct. It is extremely difficult to say, but...
Kennen-kun once again, dropping his gaze, avoided my eyes. What? I just changed that. Okay. Can't read.
Come on! Don't just stop there. That's like freezing an inch before the blow, right?
What does that mean?
That's like, you're edging me.
That's what I'm like getting out of that. Well, surely that's not what he meant. I urged him on. Maybe he did mean that. I urged him on jokingly. However, it looked like Kennen was still confused as to whether he should speak or not. Then Kumasawa Bachan whispered, "Uh-oh. Ho ho ho. Merry Christmas. You cannot see her face. Because Beatrice-sama has no form."
She has no... What did you say?
Beatrice-sama has no body. Therefore, unless Beatrice-sama wishes it, common people like us are not able to see her form. I've heard that the portrait shows what Beatrice-sama looks like when she had a human form. I can't do her voice consistently.
Oh,
Oh ho ho. It seems he yearned for that figure so much that he would often stand in front of that portrait. Oh ho ho.
Shows herself by changing her form into glittering butterflies. Where occasionally you spot them somewhere in the mansion. Absolutely must chase after her.
How beautiful. Also, I think Shannon saw that, didn't she?
Perhaps. I forgot when though.
After like she talked to Goda, I think.
Oh, so she was
Like before the midnight, I believe.
It is whispered that you will meet disaster. In fact, it was a serpent that broke quick because of a great injury. Wait a second, you're kidding me, right? Are you all serious about this?
Battler-sama, Beatrice-sama has already arrived. Such language may be unwise.
It's not like she's profane. Doubt her existence. Disaster.
Battler-sama, you probably find this topic I'm giving her a new voice. You probably find this topic unpleasant, but you know what? Beatrice-sama does exist. She exists. Beatrice-sama hates people who doubt that.
Tell Battler-sama.
She's right behind me, isn't she?
Beatrice-sama has already arrived here. Come on! Quit it!
Imagine like turning around and she's right fucking there.
Like, what's weak against that stuff.
脅しっこなしにしろい。
Enough with the cheap threats.
However, there was no trace of a joke in the eyes of the three servants. On the surface, I laughed and tried to look unconcerned, but I was quickly starting to sober up. Their eyes were also sobering up fast. Bachelor's son, I beg you to stop profaning Beatrice-sama. Please trust me. Umasawa Bachan, who was unusually cheerful and would always tease people, now spoke with a totally serious face.
You can tell she's serious because her eyes are opened. Well, even if you say she exists,
俺には何も見えない
I
ね。
don't really see anything.
今、俺の
Are
隣にい
you
る人が
trying
言
to
う
say
んだ
she's
よ。
standing right next to me or something?
Fuck, my eyes are burning because I was yawning, so I got tears in them.
I got tears.
そうだよせやい。
Quit joking around.
Why don't you turn around? I thought I was gonna get jump scared. I'm not gonna lie. Oh, it's just Maria.
Oh my god.
Just then, that unnerving laugh and cough suddenly filled the kitchen. Ew. When I turned around, Maria was standing there by the entrance. But her expression and feeling about her presence, felt exactly the same as the servants.
Whether your wavelength matches or not is determined by birth. Battler, you were born with a mismatched wavelength. That's why you can't see her. That's why you can't meet her. And that's why you can't talk to her. You're the type that Beatrice hates the most.
Maria laughed like it was funny, but it sounded extremely eerie. It was almost like she was laughing at me because I alone didn't understand.
Do you want to know about Beatrice? Beatrice is a 1,000-year-old witch. With all of the demons at her command, she can harness the power of alchemy to create the Philosopher's Stone. Is this like a Harry Potter?
This is a bunch of buzzwords.
And a vast quantity of gold.
I don't know what any of that fucking means. She's a fucking Full Metal Alchemist thing.
It's just like, isn't like alchemist like thing with metals and shit?
I don't know.
Grandfather built up the vast wealth of the Ushiramiya family by making a contract with her.
I'm not too informed on the whole story of the Philosopher's Stone, but isn't that just something that can grant like any wish, basically?
I don't freaking know.
Hey Siri. Hey Siri. Hey Siri.
I don't think that thing's worked like one time. Once
Siri.
before.
Why does she hate me? He's not working today.
She never really works.
He at least responds to me.
Yeah, oh, it's like a sad relationship. Yesterday I read Beatrice's letter, didn't I? That was real.
It was real. Why didn't she sign it?
Well, she did. She had father's stone.
That's not her signature. That's his signature.
Okay, but like she had her handwriting, so. Well, I guess it's pointless for me to try to force you to believe. After all, it looks like you were born without a trace of the sixth sense. Yeah, I'm not laughing like that. My voice hurts.
なんだよそれ。
What are you talking about?
魔女？悪魔？
Witches? Demons?
そんなの
Who
誰に聞いたん
told
だ
you
よ。
about that? I heard it from Beatrice herself.
Maria kept doing that unpleasant laugh. However, the servants who watched over us didn't even blink. She heard it from that witch in the portrait adorning the entrance hall. Maria kept on laughing in a weird voice, as though this was nothing more or less than the truth.
マリア、聞くだけ野暮だろうが、もう一回聞くぜ。
Maria, I'll be rude to ask, but I'll ask one more time.
昨日、マリアにあの手紙を渡したのは誰だ？
Gave you that letter yesterday.
I
got it from Beatrice. How many times must I tell you before you understand? You don't get it, do you? You can't see it. You can't believe it, can you?
I need to see it to believe it.
We'll see
Just
it
then,
pretty soon.
Maria's laughter suddenly stopped.
Battler, you still don't understand?
Who's making that noise?
Vtuber exists.
いるって
She exists, you say. But where? Like I said, Vtuber exists here.
I'm like scanning around the CG to see if there's anything hidden. That's right. Now that I think about it, I've been feeling this for quite a while. The servants' eyes have been pointed in quite the right direction. Haven't been pointed in quite the right direction. I figured they were just staring absent-mindedly, but that wasn't the case. The four here, Geji-san, Kanen-kun, Kumosawa-san, and Maria, everyone except me, was looking in that spot right behind me.
That's right behind me, isn't it?
Holding my breath tightly, I slowly looked over my shoulder. Of course, there wasn't anyone there. I've known that the whole time. However, everyone in the room except for me was focusing on that spot as if someone was there.
Beatrice is a mighty golden witch who has lived for 1,000 years. But since she can't show her form to humans and with the wrong wavelength, she can't talk to them. And you know what? That's really sad. I mean, she truly despises it when people like you, who were born without a fragment of the ability needed to sense magic, deny that she exists. You're lucky, Battler. Good thing I gave you that charm yesterday, right? Don't you realize what kind of curse Beatrice would put on you? How if you had been carrying it around? You really are lucky, Battler. I'm not fucking laughing. See, it's always the kids in anime.
あのサソリのキーホルダー
I like how everyone just is just like freaking like brushing off whatever the fuck Maria's saying. This like typically non-verbal child suddenly comes
Johnson.
completely verbal, and she's like, everyone's just like nonchalant to that. Balor's not even reacting with what you can talk. That would be my reaction. I'm
That's
less
what I'm
concerned
saying.
about Beatrice or like the murder. I'm more concerned about like, I think it's just it's like what why are you talking normally now? What, you didn't do that before. You're like ooh ooh, but I guess your mom's dead, so I guess you're not gonna go ooh ooh anymore. Oh, a scorpion
あれっ
keychain.
て安っぽい景品か何
I
か
thought
だ
it
と思
was
ってた
some
ん
cheap
だが
gift or something.
ちとはご利益あ
Are
っ
you
たってこと
saying
な
it
のか
really had some power? Okay. Yeah. If it weren't for that, you'd be lying in the storehouse as a sacrifice with your face crushed by now. With your face crushed by now. Oh.
But, I mean, they all slept in the same room, so wouldn't she have just killed all of them?
No.
The Battler slept in the same room as Maria, Jessica, and George, and they were fine. They didn't have a charm.
They did have a charm.
All of them? She gave one to all of them? I thought she only gave two.
She gave them to, but like, the thing is, I'm pretty sure the scorpion charm isn't just for like a specific person. I guess like it's an aura. Cause like, Natsuki had it, and like it was like just outside her room, right? So I'm assuming it's like more of like a general aura thing.
Okay.
Like, you're so lucky, Battler.
Oh, it's
I
like
can't
when
lie.
you hold a crucifix.
Yeah, I'm assuming if one person has a crucifix, a vampire, just like that general area is practically safe,
Okay.
especially if it's outside of the door. But I'm gonna be honest with you,
そうか
I don't really buy the scorpion thing. I think Beatrice can, like, Beatrice is just doing it on purpose because she's like, oh, it'd be fun to keep up this witch myth, right? If I just like follow the scorpion stuff, because like it's cheap plastic. Like, come on.
And Beatrice,
Like,
shut the fuck up. The fucking she's just ghouling around behind us.
I see. So what for that I would have died by now.
なんでバトラはベアトリーチェを信じないの
I need to read this. Battler, why don't you believe in Beatrice? Even though she
今
exists.
そこに
Right now, over there, look!
信じる気になったでしょ
Hey, I'll bet you wanna believe it now.
信じなよ
Believe it.
マリアにお守りを
If you
もらった
believe it.
ことを感謝しな
Believe
よ
it. I was thinking Naruto. Okay. I was like thinking Naruto.
And thank me for giving you that charm.
あれがなければバトラ
If
は
it
今
weren't
頃
for
倉
that,
庫の
you'd
中
be in the storehouse by now.
代わりに誰か一人
But
が
then
助かって
maybe
い
you
た
would
か
have
もしれ
saved
ない
someone
ね
else in exchange, right?
Right then, I burst into laughter. Playing witches had been pretty fun up until a second ago, but unfortunately, that last one seemed to be too much for me to gloss over.
It's all useless, isn't it right, Maria? If that's true, then sorry. But it's all useless.
It's the Mortal Kombat song. When Maria saw me suddenly start laughing, she stopped. Even though she didn't understand what I was laughing at, she realized it wouldn't be pleasant for her.
I thought it might hurt you, so I didn't say it earlier, but I thought I'd put that charm you gave me in my pocket. But I must have dropped it somewhere. So the charm can't be the only reason I'm alive right now. Even though I've been cursed by the witch, I'm perfectly fine. Sorry, but I don't believe in those things. I don't believe in things I don't see with my own eyes. Sixth senses, wavelengths, magic sensitivity. Sorry, but I don't believe in fake stuff like that. When I hear the girls in class start talking about how good or bad their ability to sense supernatural it is, it pisses me off. I don't know how much grandfather is paying you, but if you're trying to talk to me and join some cult, believe me, you won't be able to do it that easy. I thought Battler was supposed to be a life cult protagonist. I don't like Battler.
You thought he was supposed to be what?
I thought Battler was supposed to be likable.
Oh.
I don't like Battler. People said by episode 3, I think you're supposed to be attached to
Attracted to Battler.
Attracted. I don't think anyone should be attracted to Battler. You're supposed to be attached to Battler and Beatrice, but low-key. Right now, Battler's low-key a bitch. I don't really want to talk to this guy. Battler. You guys are free to believe whatever you want. But this is a free country! However, when it comes to things I believe, the one who decides is always me! Sorry, I can't believe it's something that shady-ass Beatrice until I see her with my own eyes!
I spoke forcefully and sharply. Then Maria started cackling again.
ならそれでいいんじゃない
That's just fine, isn't it?
いずれお前のような
Eventually, even people like you will be totally mismatched wavelengths will be able to see Beatrice.
もうじき蘇るんだよ
Very soon, she will revive.
ベアトリーチェはね
Beatrice will revive.
そうしたら
Once
一緒
that
にいっぱいお
happens,
話を
she's
したり
promised to talk to me and play with me a
約
lot.
束してる疑う必要も
There'll be absolutely no need for you to doubt us,
全くない
or for us to force you to believe.
現れるん
She
だ
will
もう
appear
じきね
very soon.
Third meal. Some people tend to head to the bathroom while others preferred to relax for a bit. It seemed that several people had left the parlor just like I did when I went to the kitchen to drink some water. In the end, Aunt Natsuhi reluctantly retracted her order that everybody remain in the parlor, on the condition that no one headed out on their own or stray too far. In any case, if 11 people are shut into the same room starting early in the morning, the air will start to stagnate. Also, quite some time had passed, so everyone was starting to recover from the shock of the morning, and their sense of danger might have been weakening too. However, it was certain a fact that 6 people had been killed inside the mansion, so no one was completely negligent. Whenever they went out in the hallway for a breath of fresh air trying to act tough, they would quickly get scared of standing there isolated without, and would eventually return to the parlor. I guess it's like the north wind and the sun. If you force someone to stay shut in, they'll resist, but if you tell them to do whatever they want, they'll come back obediently. People really don't like doing what they're told.
That's so real.
Yep. When the servants finished cleaning their room, cleaning up from the meal, they returned obediently to the parlor. This is Aunt Nutsuhi had told them to, and sat on the sofa near the entrance, patiently awaiting orders. Maria, almost as though she had suddenly finished playing witches, had returned to the pure Maria I knew well, saying, "Ooh, ooh." Yeah, she's just playing witch's valor. That's totally what the fuck she's doing.
Yeah, non-verbal child suddenly going verbal and suddenly like speaking in like way too, because like her vocabulary is too good for a 9-year-old. I've talked to 9-year-olds.
What in the world is happening back there? I hadn't felt even an atom of the pressure of this person called Beatrice, who was supposedly standing right behind me, invisible. However, it felt like I'd glimpsed a little of the presence inside Maria. You're right. When Maria starts talking about witches, her personality changes. Balor-kun, you also saw it down by the beach yesterday, right?
You mean the scorpion keychain? No. I don't mean like hurt her feelings for her. Talking about her having a dual personality or something.
Yeah, that happens sometimes too. The thing Maria did when she started talking about the magic circle does happen every now and then. It's freaky though.
Now you're mentioning it.
Apparently Jessica has spotted that Maria a few times. I just happened to catch it at a bad moment and was pretty freaked out seeing it for the first time.
So is that Maria has a dual personality or something? Or are you saying that her spiritual sense is so strong that she's possessed by a spirit or whatever?
No, I don't think that's it. Haven't you ever experienced it? When you were small, didn't you ever want to be someone other than yourself? No. Okay. When humans are born, no one has any individuality. However, they start to reach a certain growth period, their sense of self starts to be born. They want to be different from other people. But since everyone else in their class is learning the same things at the same rate and being forced into the same lifestyle, of course they aren't going to find anything that makes them different from everyone else around them. Once they realize that, the first thing they start doing is breaking the rules, and that's called the rebellious stage. Since everyone wants to follow the rules, they want to show off their individuality by breaking them. So even those who act tough, mocking everyone around them and calling them childish, can actually be viewed as cute kids searching for themselves, if you look at it that way. Well, I'm lecturing about all of this like I'm so smart, but I actually got it secondhand from George Oniki. I myself was one of those embarrassing guys who thought it was cool to act like a little bastard. Well, that was when I was at the age when you start trying to show off for the opposite sex. Or the same. The main feature of the growing period lies in the impulse to break away from yourself, from your life as a kid, like a chick trying to crack open the shell of their egg. You know what makes children and adults different?
Age? Art? Do you mean size?
No, experience. Adults can look down on children because children have very little life experience. The reason they snort at everything children say is because they think children have know nothing about the real world. Yeah, I understand that. When you're a kid, you talk all like you got life all figured out or something, trying to act like an adult. No matter what kids say, adults just snort at them and say they're too naive. Or that they'll understand when they get older or something. Well, it's probably true, but to a kid, it's just annoying, like they're being looked down upon.
I get it. It's a question. God. It's a question of knowledge and experience. Because you're right, there's no reason to respect a person for their age if they've wasted their lives.
Therefore, during the period when they try to separate themselves from other children, they also try to take on personality traits different from those around them. And if knowledge and experience is what separates kids and adults.
I get it. I get it. If they know something that no one else knows, it becomes a part of their identity.
You know, when I was in elementary school, I learned things no one else knew. Get things no one else had, wear things no one else wore, and became a bit of a hero for it. I bet you've done the same thing, Battler.
Yeah. There was definitely an age where I wanted to excel in some skill or other. I see. That's because I was trying to separate myself from being a child or going through my growing period, in other words.
If you put a positive spin on it, the growing period forces you to separate yourself from the others, thereby forcing you to gain skills and knowledge no one else has. This is also interesting from a sociological standpoint. Because people hate being like everybody else, they try to learn skills other people don't know. In this way, society can acquire the broad range of skills it needs to survive. The quality of God's programming is truly surprising.
Personality traits can also be negative, right? Like if everyone in the class was studying hard, but I was the only one slacking off, trying to stand out.
Okay, that last bit was really true about me. It's only recently that I've been able to thank the middle school teacher who slapped me after school.
But well, I tried to jump over things no one else could. Sprint as fast as I could. Trying to lap those guys with good grades. Really did a marathon just because I felt like doing it. It was in my nature. If I couldn't study well, then at least I could get back at them by exercising. I see. So I really did go through a proper growing period.
I guess boys really do tend to focus more on the physical stuff. But you know, girls do the same. Girls of the same age tend to focus more on the mental, spiritual things. I bet there were groups of girls in your classes that got really interested in fortune telling and their spiritual senses.
Yeah. There were. They'd come over asking my sign and blood type, and then they'd laugh. Ah, I thought so. It really got my nerves. No matter which class you go to, girls like fortune telling. Deciding whatever your spirit sense is strong or weak or your sensitivity is, whether you can see the unseeable, that kind of thing happened to me.
That's because fortune telling and spiritual senses are things that aren't taught in school. The girls who tend to be more introverted. It's a genre that's easy to build up, and it's a genre that's easy to build an identity upon, and one that holds a lot of interest for them. Just like how, when boys enter their growing period, they start getting tough and rebel against adults. When girls enter their growing period, they start getting interested. I feel like have we said anything new in like the past few lines?
This feels like flavor text. We get it. When growing up, you want to differentiate.
We get it. Girls like astrology and boys like lifting rocks. We fucking understand.
And it's all because they want to separate themselves by other people by being like finding their individuality. It's called growing up. It's called getting new life experience.
Dude, if this was in Little Busters, the scene would have been done by now.
Just like, you don't need to drag it on so long. Jesus Christ. So Maria interest in the cult isn't that rare among girls her age? I know the scene is supposed to like basically give Battler a reason to brush off Maria's strange behavior, but even if I'm still concerned if my child randomly acts like that. You know what I hate about this?
Taking her to a fucking an exorcist.
Not even an exorcist. I just think the way Umineko kind of just brushes off Maria. Like, right now at the first episode, everyone just brushes off Maria's habits. They brush off the treatment of Maria. Like, everyone's so... If George can, like, spout, like, oh, yeah, growing up, has no one ever just pointed to the fact that how much psychological... How, like, in the first 5 years of your life, you're heavily impacted by, like, your environment and the world around you, and that Maria's habits is like points to the fact that like it's like there's something else going on that isn't just described by like it's a kid growing up. Because despite how you can generalize experiences of people, everyone and their individual like little quirks and stuff and their individual experiences vary so much to the point where we can't always just generalize every experience because people are unique and whatever. And I just hate how like Maria, like she's getting slapped, she's getting beat, and people are like, yeah, it's just her mother disciplining her child, and like does that not show like the psychological damage Maria has been experiencing growing up, and the fact that her being nonverbal might just point to signs of abuse and like fear, or like signs of other mental issues that like might be developing, and how it's not being really fixed, and like how her like interest in the occult might be her only like special interest thing that like she can like invest herself in, because like no one else is really being under, like I don't know, man, like there's like a lot of like why are they brushing off the fact that like Maria just like is kind of like being a creeper, like she's like I don't like it. I don't like that. It's just like these people can talk all smart and shit until like, but they don't do anything about it. They just say it's like, oh yeah, it's just stuff growing up. I was like that when I was younger. They just repeat the same flavor text over and over again.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for like the actual commentary in this game that like really, like I know it's all gonna build up. Like I know like this dialogue can be building up to like the main message of the game, and it probably is, and it's probably building up like the freaking like reader's like experience, and like basically like going to teach the reader like this is how it's gonna be, and this is how everything is gonna end up, and this is
It better.
like, this is like the building. It's like probably gonna be a building block to like the main themes when we all like piece it together. But the thing is, I just think it's annoying, and I think the characters are annoying, especially the way they just dismiss Maria's abuse, because that's what's probably happening. Like I sympathize with Aunt Rosa, but taking out her like anger with physical violence and everyone just dismissing that, it's kind of fucked up. Like I know like lots of kids have grown up with like, you know, physical discipline, but there's a reason why you shouldn't do that, because that can cause a lot of psychological damage and developmental issues for a young child.
Uh-huh. Hello,
things like
Gio.
neglect-
Hi.
Oh.
Sorry, there's somebody in chat. How are you
Oh.
doing? If this is the person I'm thinking of, right? I don't know, maybe it's just a common name. But hello. It doesn't say first time chatter, so I'm pretty sure I know who you are. It should be. Okay, yeah. How have you been? We're just playing this visual novel. I hope you've been well. It's been a long time. But yeah, I don't know.
sorry, I was
We'll see if this is leading up to anything. Been hiding, yeah. Oh, that's good. It's nice to see you stopping by here. It's oh, I thought that said, you know, I'm so blind. That said JK. Even if we accept that, I wonder if it explains that creepy dual personality thing. It doesn't. Actually, I think it probably could accept the explanation more or less. Okay, and he does.
I hate these characters right now. Please.
I'm just saying, if a child acted like this, if I didn't know who this child was, I'd be like, that's weird. And if I knew who this child was, I'd still think that's weird. Acting that way is not normal. Like,
I immediately just think like something's happening that's like wrong, and that she needs like some like, cause like these characters are so dismissive to all like everything. I wish they would be more involved with things. I wish they would try to change things. I wish they weren't just like, oh yeah, this must be explained by like growing up. Everyone has these experiences. That's such a general thing though. I feel like focusing on Maria's unique experiences points to way
Also,
more than just growing up.
I feel like I've never done that. Like, maybe I'm just
I mean,
rare.
Well,
I
no, I
I
feel
just
like
didn't exist for.
I just think the way they explain things just kind of like doesn't make sense. Not doesn't make sense, but is way too complicated than it actually is.
Yeah,
I
people
think
people probably just do it subconsciously because I don't look at other people and think, damn, I don't want to be like them, and then I try to find something that makes me unique. Like I've never actively
for
thought that.
example, like, but first example is you like playing video games because like
I just do it because it's fun.
you think it's fun, but also like you think you're better than everyone.
I am. That's true. I am. That's why
So
I'm
that's
GM in Marvel Rivals, but I'm actually more like top 500. I just haven't played enough.
Yeah, but that's basically like it's basically like what they're basically saying is like kids when they gain more experience they become individuals. Because when you're a kid, you're a blank slate, and basically you're formed by your outside experience.
That's true.
It's such general information, but they're just making it sound like very specific towards like whatever experiences is like. Basically, when you're a kid, you engage with things you like because it builds your identity. And
So
you
there's
are more
something called a personality, and people.
yeah, it's like that's basically what it's explaining. It's
Umineko fucking explaining what a personality is.
Umineko explaining how kids are developing. Oh yeah, when I was a kid, I wanted to do this, and I wanted to, cause like I don't know, it's just like they're just like
I
explaining.
mean, okay,
like,
I
what life
kind of
experiences.
understand now when you put it like that, because like
Yeah.
when I was a kid, obviously I have no idea what the fuck I wanted to do when I get older. Like everybody always asks, "What do you want to do when you're older?" And then like for me, like I never had an answer until like my parents started suggesting what I should do, and then I'm like, okay, I guess I'll do that.
Yeah, it's like what they're explaining isn't like, for example, kids want to be different. What they're trying to explain is when kids start branching off from like what their classes are teaching them. Like, for example, when I was a kid, I liked doing art. That was basically what I was branching off into, and I also liked anime, and I liked watching anime, and I drew a lot of anime art. That's basically what they're fucking explaining, but they're making it so overly complicated.
I drew Pokemon.
Yeah.
Alright.
That Maria is just really interested in the occult, and she feels
She
like
should
this
be
is a
playing
big part of her
Pokemon, bro.
identity.
It didn't exist yet. Never mind. She really missed. Born in the wrong generation, Maria.
Gordon, yeah, real. She would have loved Pokemon.
As you just said, becoming an adult means gaining knowledge and experience. So, to gain that, it's necessary for children to learn all sorts of things and break free from childhood.
That's just rephrasing what life experience is! Sorry.
However, there are certain convenient delusions that you see often in the world of children, both now and in the past. You know what I mean?
Imagination!
Dude, all the time in manga and anime, right? I kind of like that. Like, you just got memories from a previous life and start to resurface. Like you're being possessed by the soul of something great or whatever.
I'm gonna fucking punch Balor in the face. It could be that of a sleeping genius. Or maybe, fuck, every time I do Balor's voice, I like, or maybe, a sealed power memory returns. There's all kinds. For some reason, stuff like that's really popular at that age. Why is that?
All those examples you just mentioned are illusions that let children immediately add their sum of knowledge and experience. If a 9-year-old says she has a 1,000-year-old witch possessing her, she keeps the 1,000-year-old identity. A 1,009-year-old identity.
This information. The way they write this information just makes it feel like more complicated than it actually is. He's just being like, yeah, when you have a strong imagination as a kid, you basically start thinking you're that thing. Yeah, when I had a strong imagination, I liked role-playing as animatronics from FNAF.
You were a FNAF. Holy shit, bro grew up with
I'm pretty young, okay? I'm not that old. I'm like old enough for other kids to think I'm old, but I'm not. I'm like, I was like at least like, I had a creepypasta phase when I was 12, okay? Like,
I was in 5th grade when Roblox came out.
yeah, you're old, I guess.
Oh, hey Siri. She hates me still.
My first Roblox account I made was in 2014.
Damn. I made it like
So, like,
probably the month it came out or something. At the very least, the year it came out. I remember the first trailer.
You're old.
I was gonna say, unrelated to children, but I'm not really sure what he's trying to say here about a 9-year-old with a 1,000-year-old. So like,
Basically, what he's just fucking saying that because Maria has such a strong imagination, basically when she thinks,
it's like when kids think they're unicorns.
yeah, when you role, it's basically because he's saying she's role playing so hard that she's basically like, that's why I don't like the way this is written. I feel like you can write this in a way that doesn't feel like because like I understand what they're saying. I just think the way he's saying it is so obnoxious, and it's not really
Because he's rich.
It doesn't feel intelligent. It doesn't feel very more like it's adding on to my knowledge. I just feel like he's being pretentious for the sake of being pretentious.
I wanted to add here that this reminds me of how completely unrelated children. But when I was in the psych ward, there was somebody who was under the impression that she was like hundreds of years old, and had like combined lifetimes in her. So I mean that's kind of like what this is saying, except she had like, you know, a mental problem and wasn't 9 years old.
I mean, like, my trauma was so bad I gained delusions and started to think I was like, it was like really hard to explain, but I was like a fucking divine being on this earth, and the reason why everything felt so weird and abnormal and I was out of my body was because I was God.
Because of all that religion that was put into you.
No, I was just God. I was just like, I like genuinely was like, I thought I could control everything with my mind. There was no reason why I was put in the psych ward, but like, I don't know. I was coping with trauma so bad. I was like, there was a rift. You know, Serial Experiments Lane? Low-key, everything started feeling like that anime. It was like actually so bad. I like, actually started feeling crazy. And like in the mental ward, I was like, I don't know. I just kept repeating affirmations in my head while sleeping. I'm not that mentally unstable, but I very much like whenever I tell people that they like immediately think.
No,
that
you gotta keep that in your back pocket for another war starts. You're like, sorry, I can't. I'm unstable.
Oh, sorry, I can't. You can't draft me. I'm just meant. I'm
fucked up in the head.
We have a chronic illness. They would. I'm 4'11" too. Like they wouldn't. Be
No, but you could go into tiny holes.
I wouldn't be able to fit in like the army like suits they have.
They're all tailored, special made.
Okay, I wouldn't be able to carry a gun because I'm so.
That might be a problem, but like you could unlock doors. Or I don't fucking.
What? Oh, you can just freaking like.
You could crawl through the hole and open the door.
You can be like Solid Snake or whatever.
Alright, so basically, studying is annoying. But these delusions are convenient for people who want to brag about having a skill no one else has. Amazing the people around them. So you could brag about something without having to work hard and study. Isn't that the kid's greatest dream? Furthermore, in their desire to separate themselves from being kids, they always end up projecting an image of their ideal self. And it's not rare for that desired self to become an alternate personality. Even you, Battler-kun, probably had a slightly different personality at home and at school, right?
Wait, so that's like true for everyone.
Yeah, it's probably be embarrassing if your friends at school saw you how you were at home. At school, you try to project yourself as the way you want to be, but at home, it's where you're your true self. Or it's the other way around, because you get to be your true self at school, and then your parents force you to be somebody else at home.
And your parents beat you. You know, like, this information's too generalized.
There's no way that the conclusion to this is that people act different depending on the situation. They could have fucking... Bro, Persona says this in a much more easily digestible way.
Dude, I thought this was just like common information. I feel like they're just over-explaining this for the
Valor, there's no way you haven't noticed this.
Unless you're like fucking, unless you've been like, I guess, well, maybe actually, there might be people like that. Maybe I'm being too mean.
Well, maybe but they are kind of young. Maybe if they're at this age where they think that
He's older than me.
he's
Freaking George's older than me, dude. George's older than me.
George is 30 years old, marrying a 6.
He's
I'm
23 trying to
gonna
marry
increase his age every time.
You're just, he's like 50 trying to marry like, I'm around Battler and Jessica's age, and I came up with this conclusion when I was fucking
2.
12. It was like I understand. I feel like I've always understood that concept, right? But like when I was like 11 to 12, this is when like it kind of, this idea already cemented in my mind, because like around that age is when you like actually start learning like empathy, and like you start like being able to like expand your critical thinking skills. I don't think the reader or like these kids freaking, they're 18. They're not like fucking like, they're not like babies, okay? They're like, they should be able to know like, so maybe like I can see people struggling with this, knowing this information generally, if they like grew up without like a lot of emotional like availability, especially when like any like a lot of like, for example,
I mean, their parents all kind of fucking suck, except for Natsu. She's the best one. But like, she's a bit. I mean, like, it's probably hard for her to be a mother because this guy is such an asshole. So maybe Jessica would. I mean, but George knows because he's old enough. And then Battler was like living with his grandparents, so they probably didn't say much.
yeah.
And then Aunt Rosa beats Maria, and Maria is also 9 years old.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, I mean, I can see how they wouldn't understand it like completely, and how like talking about this stuff will expand my line.
Oh yeah, you never read it.
So in other words, I'm changing my personality.
Valerie got a deeper voice now.
My bad. Are you saying that having multiple personalities actually fucking God, I'm actually, you didn't need to read that line. I thought everyone understood that. Yes, I act different when I'm like talking with like my different friends, because I know different friends like different things, because people react differently to the same things. You know, for example, my parents will beat me if I my parents would beat me if I said some of the things I tell my friends.
That's true. A girl who's a fan of the occult might say she's been possessed or awakened. Honestly, there's some kind of kids who change their personality so much it's creepy.
Is this like a common occurrence you see in kids when they're being creepy? They do this?
Yeah, I feel like I like to pretend because they're pretending.
I know, but like I haven't, like, even like if my kid's into the cult, that's fine, but like I haven't seen much kids that like the way, at least they just like Maria, especially.
Maria's different. Like that shit would never happen. Like when a kid's pretending, like they're still pretending and act like their age. They're not like suddenly a fucking fluent speaker.
Especially knowing that Maria gets beat by her mom, that's like blaring red flags in my mind. Does anyone else know like how most horror movies start out? This little girl gets beaten or abused by other people and taken advantage of by other people, and then she goes like, and then she gains like magical powers and she kills everyone.
Yay, and boys do it too, right? Guys who say they've blown their top and suddenly turn into some overplayed violent character.
Oh, this is
I'll bet they think it's pretty cool, but it's painful to watch. Alright, let's sum it up.
You're saying that even a girl as furious as she is, like she did a minute ago, it isn't such a rare, unusual thing?
Simply put, that's right. And let's move on.
You're wrong.
Identity is an important factor when bringing up one's sense of self. If we make fun of it, it could cause a child to go back into their shells. Damn. So why does every parent do that?
You know what? What I get out of this conversation is that these people are stupid. Because you can say this stuff in a general sense, but that doesn't distract from the fact that you know someone, like, when you know someone's specific situation, you can't just apply this general fact onto this person. I mean, you can, but you have to add more nuance towards their situation. Maria is a kid who we already know
Like, why
doesn't
don't
know
they
how to make
bring up fucking the mom hitting her?
like we already know that Maria doesn't have friends at school, which leads to probably lots of feelings of isolation, and this is why she probably engages more in her personalities, like what in her special interests, because like when I was a kid, I like went ham on my special interest because I felt so lonely that was the only thing that like really like I could connect with.
Wait a minute.
So like
How does Maria have access to knowledge of the occult? She's 9. There's no phone. There's no internet. Where is she getting this from? Does Rosa buy her books on this?
I don't fucking. They're.
Maybe she learns it from the grandfather, but they don't. She doesn't stay here.
There's probably a library. I don't freaking know. She's autistic, probably. Like she shows signs of like being neurodivergent.
So it's important to go along with them to some degree. Although the broad-mindedness of the parent determines whether they play along in it or not.
You can't say that after Shannon just died!
I forgot about that.
Aniki, I can't believe you're single. You sound like you've already raised kids through middle school.
Well, his wife was...
Person he wanted to engage died. Oh.
I was gonna say, when he was like probably 18, she was.
Oh. That's true. Wait, if she was when he was in middle school, she was like in elementary school. So I wonder if Aunt Rosa knew much about Maria's dual personality.
She knew about it. Just between us, Aunt Rosa really hated it. She said it was unpleasant and that Maria was becoming increasingly isolated from the rest of the class. So anytime Maria started to talk about the occult or laughing like the witch, she'd slap her. And it looks like Maria stopped talking that way in front of her. Yeah, they are bringing it up. Maybe that thing back there was just a little game from a girl facing her growing period. Just a girl trying to show that she was different and independent by holding interest in witches and the occult. And since she wanted to be different from herself, young as she was switching between her normal personality. Okay, this would actually work if they like rewrote all of Maria's dialogue so she didn't sound like an adult talking. If she still sounded like a kid, I could believe this entire conversation here.
I don't really like the way this reasoning's phrased either, though, and I don't really like.
Yeah, the fact that they're trying so hard to sell it to us, like, obviously shows the reader that that's not the case.
And like, I know they're trying to sell it really hard, but even so, like, when I'm talking from a psychological perspective, I don't even agree with like a lot of the things they stated in this, especially because like. Especially from the last 2 lines. I don't agree with any of, like... I agree with some of it, but then, like, some of it I don't agree with. Because, like, dual personality is not common. I don't think that's a common occurrence. Where you want, like... Where you, like... Because, like, at least the way they describe it...
Might be a Japan thing or a translation thing. Because Danganronpa also sometimes said, like... Yeah, Danganronpa said split personality, but that, like, wasn't it at all.
Split personality is like such a like that term is like not really. I can't say that a person has like a split personality unless like if you're talking in like a medical diagnosis sense where like people do suffer from like split personality disorder, you know? But
yeah.
Split personality is like makes your like I feel like that just feels too black and white. It's like people will always act different towards different things, and the way Maria is acting, it's not, for me, it's not like turning into her personality to her ideal. Like, I know, like, that's what kids do. Like, kids do that when they play pretend.
You do.
Like, when I was, like, you know, that's why I roleplayed a lot on Roblox as a kid, because, like, I got to be whatever I wanted to be. I wrote stories often about like characters, made OCs about what I wanted to be, and like.
I don't think I've ever roleplayed.
Well, like, have you ever like wanted to like? Have you ever made up characters or like?
Well,
pretend?
To roleplay, do you have to roleplay with other people? Because I definitely like just thought of it in my head.
about it. I feel like, cause like role playing, I'm just saying as like a example, not really like a thing that kids always do. Cause kids will like, cause like just imagining like maybe like a character like yourself in like a different
And hit
situation.
visual novel through Little Busters.
It's just like, it's like imagining, it's like you're projecting like part of your identity into said character. Like when you relate, lots of people enjoy relating to characters because they're
I do
basically
that.
seeing themselves in a fictional character, right? I know you like Makoto from
He's so mean.
yeah, you like Makoto because you resonate with that character and you like the game a lot because how much you resonate with it. And it's like the same with everyone else. And then like I just don't like the way like this story is phrasing Maria. Like she's just like brushing off. It's like not only does it really brush off like the unique experience she's having, it's also kind of just doesn't really make sense what they're trying to sell me.
Right. We probably spent like 30 minutes on this scene.
I know, 'cause, like, I don't like the way it's written.
Let's close out this scene because it's gonna be 11
know.
soon.
You're right. You don't, but I feel like you've already noticed this, but my autistic interest is understanding psychological, like,
Bro has the
I like-
psychological autism.
I got the autism where like I overanalyze like people and everything and their actions and like how like each intricacy and like nuance of their life turns them into the people they are now. And like I used to just like spout. There was this other person who was like kind of autistic who also like had the similar interest. So all we did was write like 10 million paragraphs to each other on like how the small detail in a video game points to this character like being blah blah blah. And like this is why I'm like whenever we take so
They
long
make
playing
they
video
make the
games,
best video essays.
Really? Is that so real? I love video essays because I'm like, oh, I see that. But then like sometimes I hate video essays because I disagree with them, and I'm like, no, you're thinking too broadly, like Umineko is. I think.
All right.
Experience.
And she wanted to be.
I'm fucking yapping. No.
Oh, I read this line. At first, I'd found that very disturbing, but after being lectured about it by George Aniki, felt like the path everyone walked down at one time or another. I haven't told anyone, but when I was in kindergarten, I joined up a little gang of kids trying to form an Earth Defense Force to help protect peace on Earth. My face turns red, and I remember how my face turned red when I remembered how, during what we called battle practice, we would chant EDF, EDF. Just like usual, Maria was relaxing, immersed in her TV, oohing and laughing just like any girl her age. But on the island, another personality that the ideal witch she rejected and blindly accepted was sleeping. But that wasn't anything extraordinary. It was perfectly natural for a girl her age.
Her current personality is probably a fucking coping mechanism because of all
Calm
the
down a
trauma
little. The shock from my bizarre experience in the kitchen just now was fading away. I hadn't talked to George Aniki and Jessica. I still might have been frightened by the idea that an invisible witch is standing right behind me. Or sure, right behind me, see. However, can I really accept that as an explanation for what happened back there? If it had just been Maria, I could explain it as fickle delusions of a growing girl, but Genji-san, Kanen-kun, and Kumasawa-bachan had also been there. None of them had denied what Maria said. They silently accepted that Beatrice exists. I was starting to feel a little uneasy. Aunt Ava's position was that no 19th person existed, and that crime was an inside job for the family quarrels. On the other hand, Aunt Natsuhi's position was that the culprit was hiding outside the mansion. So she rejected the possibility of an inside job and supported the idea that a 19th person existed. And in the kitchen, Maria and the servants also supported the idea of a 19th person. But according to them, the 19th person isn't human. They said it was an invisible witch carrying out some mysterious plan. Is there a 19th person or not? And is the culprit a human or a witch? For some reason, I couldn't just laugh off any of those possibilities, not even when the most ridiculous story was about a witch.
Alright, perfect. It's cutting out so I can yap, right?
Jessica.
No.
Yep. Alright, perfect place to stop.
Yes. Oh my god. I hate but like if your child is like seems like their mental state is kind of like just God. I forgot how they wrote Jessica in Japanese. That's horrendous. How the fuck is that just yeah,
That's Jess Ika.
the thing is with like oh god, that's like 3 characters just for Jessica. That's awful.
I'm gonna pull up my Google Translate device and see what it says.
But like yeah, I don't like the way that if your child acts like Maria and like says ooh ooh and is isolated from her class and like has like and like might
That's
suffer from
close enough. My Google Translate, close enough.
close enough. Okay, but imagine writing that on your paper every day. That sucks.
Sure, that's so many lines.
And to think my name was awful in Japanese.
Whoops. Jessica.
Because like my name is technically like Kira name because of how like annoying it is because I have a lot of strokes. But that's awful. That's also awful. I couldn't imagine having to write that many strokes.
Alright.
That's enough.
Anything to close out the stream.
If your child acts like Maria and says ooh ooh constantly, I think you should be concerned. And beating your child will not help your child but will continue to stunt their growth. And it's obvious that Maria is acting that way because obviously due to like sustained trauma, she's obviously reverted to different coping mechanisms in order to keep that at bay. So as a child, you don't know how to understand or really rationalize any traumatic experiences, and those experiences will come out more during your adult to like teenage periods of life, and that those will basically run your life subconsciously without you realizing. And that don't I hate I wish George would have shut his mouth, that stupid man. I like it when like visual novels get psychological. Like my favorite visual novels are the Denpa visual novels where like the character feels like the main character
You would
feels like
love Zero Escape. We gotta get you on that.
crazy. Like it's just like for example, Sayonara Oshita was just like that was just like the whole game was just this one guy literally going crazy and just like literally like yapping to himself about things that were pretty much delusional and like nonsensical. And then like and like Subahibi was basically the same, like multiple different. I just felt like I like it with the abnormal atmosphere of like everything feeling like you're going insane with the character or like things aren't making sense with the character. I love psychological things so much, and that's why I started getting upset when
It's
because
it's so interesting that I'm playing this and then Little Busters, because when I'm reading Little Busters, I'm like, damn, if this was Umineko, I would have elaborated here. But then I'm like playing Umineko, I'm like, damn, if this was Little Busters, it wouldn't have been repeated 50 times.
like, I over elaborate. I feel like I talk a lot like Umineko because I over elaborate the same points over and over.
Well, I'm not like saying is necessarily. Well, I mean, it is kind of bad in Umineko, but like when I play Little Buster, I'm like, this is very much more simple compared to like Umineko. So there's like some interesting parts to Umineko that I do enjoy. I just wish it was edited down more. But like it's very fun because I get like my fix of this super serious murder mystery, and then I go to Little Busters and I get to hear amazing music and good visuals and just fucking just vibe and chill and read a fucking story that doesn't hurt my head.
I think he has some good visual novels, but it's like not for me because it's very simple, which is nice. Simple is good. It's just like I enjoy.
Like, I wonder how it would be to read like this story, Little Busters, if I didn't like know everything already.
Cause like, with Umineko, I like it when stories elaborate on things, but I don't like it when it's re-elaborated too many times. When you can just imply so much more than just tell me over and over again, and it still feels like it's missing something. I don't like the way these guys talked about Maria. I know it's supposed to try to get us, the readers, convinced, but I'm not fucking convinced. I just feel like they're stupid. I just feel like they're being ignorant towards like the nuance of like Maria's like experience. You can't just be like, oh, because Maria is just a kid that this is why it's happening. That's basically the sum of their argument. But the thing is, if you know anything about kids and if you interacted with anyone, you know that their specific situations and experiences makes them all different from each other. Because like no one's gonna act a certain way unless like their environment says or like kind of makes them act upon it. Because like like I'm a different person than you because we both grew up different. Simply, this game is like basically saying that she's just going through what all kids are, and it's annoying because she's getting beaten and no one does anything about it. And this is like the 1980s or even
Well, it was normal back then.
yeah.
Well, with that, it's about 11. I'm gonna end the stream. Maybe we might do repo tomorrow or something because it's a Friday.
Oh my god, Repo, I'm gonna get so many people on board.
Yeah, we need more people. Somebody please.
I'm gonna ask.
Where's fucking Smeeba?
Smeeba's gonna be busy for like the next 2 weeks.
No.
I'm gonna ask Smeeba if they're busy.
It's for one session. Just one session. Alright, I'm in the stream. See ya.